So let's dive into some cool news off the top. And we will be talking about Karate Combat today because that was probably the biggest night in crypto. That was incredible to see. But this was also incredible to see. It's been awesome to watch the retail pays the bills trend kind of kick off. And I know that it probably doesn't make everybody happy to see it. I think it definitely makes people in retail happy to see it. And it's true. Retail pays the bills. You know, enterprise isn't using the network a ton right now. Not to say that it's a choice between enterprise or retail. It's just, it's very clear that retail is a stepping stone to enterprise. But here's Brady from Bonzo Finance, previously Swirlds Labs, now Hashgraph, at Karate Combat, rocking this epic hat, Bonzo shirt, retail pays the bills sign. I thought that was awesome. And you can see, like, you know, I post this and, 403 likes. And, you know, I think that it's pretty clear that this message rings true to so many different people and is championed by so many different people. So I would say that hop on board the retail pays the bills train, champion it because it's the truth. And I think if you really put the weight behind it, just means more money for Hedera. Also, too, this was very, very cool to see. It's not just about revenue, right? We got to remember there's other things too, like TPS. We're seeing the main net rocket up to at sometimes close to 4,000 TPS. Let me just let me see here. Hedera transactions, 2,500 TPS right now. So that's substantial. We're seeing kind of on average, I would say almost like a doubling of TPS. And people might be asking, well, what is that from? It looks like this is from Atma.io. So people were asking on the subreddit what the dealio is. And it does look like the recent TPS, the recent spike in TPS is Atma.io, which again is Atma.io is a is a subsidized use case, subsidized by the HBAR Foundation. Nothing wrong with that at all. It would be very difficult to get interest around the Hedera network without the TPS that we have. It shows that the network can function at that volume. The question I think a lot of people have is, well, what happens when Atma.io runs out of HBAR supplied by the foundation to use this? Are they going to start buying HBAR themselves? It's a little more complicated than that. I think that Atma.io's customers are going to be paying for that service, and there's other layers to it. So I think the question on everyone's mind is, what happens when Atma.io stops getting HBAR for this use case? I imagine at that time, probably there might be a drop off, but at that time also, I'm hoping that at least before the end of this year, we see more diversified TPS. And it's not a huge deal if TPS drops for a bit. What really matters is diversifying the types of transactions. These transactions are Hedera consensus transactions, which submit messages to a consensus topic on the network. They're very inexpensive. They don't make Hedera a lot of money. But alternatively, NFT transfers, crypto transfers like HBAR, minting, account creation, these different types of things, those make Hedera a considerable, much more amount of money. So basically, if we do see TPS go down, it might not mean that revenue is going down. It might mean revenue is going up. So we just kind of have to see what that balance looks like. But it does seem as though this spike in TPS is largely Atma, but it's not just Atma. Excuse me. It is also Civic Ledger. So we've got LED, community member, always kind of on the pulse with this kind of stuff. It's great to see. But Civic Ledger, this account is printing transactions as well. Not at the rate that Atma.io is doing for sure, but this is a use case that's moving stuff to the mainnet. So it's good to see these use cases going live. I dig it. I like to see it, of course. Let me quickly, there we go. So something else that I think was very interesting for folks is this update from Hashpack. Hashpack obviously is working through their roadmap. They've got their pack token out. And we're starting to get an idea of what is going to be coming, right? So I'd encourage people for sure to continue to dive into this, but we have a little glimpse right now of what's on the horizon for pack token. Governance, ecosystem collaborations, yield opportunities, pack back rewards, UI updates. So obviously there's a bunch of stuff coming, which is very exciting. And then also this Project X thing. To be honest, I have no idea what it is. And Project X is kind of something for the Hashpack community. Someone else pointed out on this, just again, maybe this is like some tinfoil hat stuff, but Project X, Cosmic, I've been seeing his videos out, good stuff. Project X likely symbolizes community growth or new additions to the Hashpack family, just because we've got people here with different things. So looking into it a little bit, but this is very cool stuff. I think people have been looking forward to some more details on what's happening with pack token, and we've seen, you know, that launch was pretty wild, and it grows the portfolio of HTS tokens in the Hedera ecosystem that I think are really gaining traction. So I really love to see it. Sauce token, pack token, Grelf, H Suite, Head Starter, Galaxy. Well, I mean, let's just take a quick look at Saucer Swap. What's going on Saucer Swap? Let's take a look here. My little button switcher has died here real quick. Let me see if it breaks anything, if I unplug it, if I restart it, if I reboot. Let's see. Will this fix it? I wonder if that does it. Because sometimes during the show it dies and it makes it so much harder to do it. Hey, that worked. Okay. Found a fix. I love when you trouble. Oh, did it die again? Hold on. Let me see here. No, it died again. I'll figure it out. So looking at Saucer Swap, again, I was just listing random tokens, but like if we go to analytics, Gecko Terminal, I mean, look at this. We've got BSL, Sauce, Jam, Dovu, Sauce Inu, DaVinci, Karate, of course, VR Jam, H Suite, Sauce Inu, Steam, Grelf. These are what are these? Version 1 pools, version 2 pools, H Liquidity, Dovu, Pack, right? So we've got, like, if I look back on, you know, a year or a year and a half ago, you know, I think that it was really wild to see a DeFi ecosystem at all, or a DEX at all. And then now seeing this definitely gets you thinking. And we've been talking on the show a lot about, you know, what do the next steps look like? It's so important to get these HTS listings on other centralized exchanges. But also it's important to get these token pairs listed on other decentralized exchanges on other networks. We have one bridge in the ecosystem. We need more. I mean, I've been rambling on it before, but it's very cool to see nonetheless. We got a couple messages here. Ken, Hashgraph Enthusiasts. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to add that one to the list. And I think that's a good option. I mean, again, I was just kind of saying, like, you know, I'm at a conference and people in the future, maybe people are like, what's the difference between this and a blockchain? It's like, I say it's a hash graph, and they're like, do you mean the company or what is it? So Hashgraph, that's a very descriptive way to say what the technology is. Maybe that's the name of the show. Hashgraph Enthusiasts. I don't hate it. To be honest, I don't hate it. What else we got going on here? Hello. Grelf is major. Can't disagree. Can't disagree. We've got some other convos happening in the comments too. If people want to jump into the convo, there's some good stuff happening in the show comments. I'll bring some up on screen. If anyone has any other updates, feel free to share them. Yeah, Ken, I'm using Arc browser. I dig it. The tab is on the side. It's got some good features. I've switched to it from Chrome. I still use Chrome for some things. I have issues streaming in Arc, but otherwise it's good enough. I mean, I'll take it. It's digging. Okay, so what else we got going on? Karate Combat. So really quick, I mean, we're going to talk about karate combat later on in the show, of course, but this was just something random just today that I found. So basically, if folks aren't familiar, there was an AI startup that bought friend.com, and it's like it's the same, it's just the rebranded version of I guess it's Avi here. Sandwich Video did an ad. But anyways, it's the ad that everyone's seen and everyone's talking about. And so basically this other AI founder is like, you stole my idea. There's all this drama. Everyone's going crazy. Everyone's in the comments on this. And so ultimately this person that says they got ripped off. Many people suggested us to fight. I'm officially inviting Avi to fight with me. Do you take the offer? So a lot of people say like, oh, the crypto space is crazy. There's a lot of like drama and whatever it might be. But I always say to people, like, you really need to take a look at the AI space. The AI space is just wild. It is truly wild. And they're challenging each other to fights as well. So I tagged Karate Combat and Influencer Fight Club. And it seems as though Karate Combat has said they'll host it. Only LARPing has said, listen, friend versus friend in the pit. Let's host the fight. So imagine if we bridge the AI industry with the crypto industry in the form of a fight. I think that'd be pretty crazy. So, I mean, shout out to these guys. I know that they both hate each other. Maybe this turns out, maybe this is an effective form of dispute resolution. Who knows, but we'll find out. We'll keep everybody posted on that. This was also really unfortunate to see. The Casper Network, they posted, we discovered a significant security breach in the Casper Network. In order to minimize the effects of this security breach, we have worked with the validators to halt the network until the security breach has been patched. We will have further updates as we investigate the situation. And so really the recent news on this now is validators are going to get on a call. They're going to push an update. They'll get the network back online. It's been a couple days. I think that overall, this is something that I just wanted to highlight because it's really important how the HBAR community reacts to stuff like this. Again, it's not a good thing for the Hedera ecosystem for another network like Casper to have issues like this because it kind of speaks to all networks. And I think it's the incorrect thing to kind of, when moments happen like this with other networks, to kind of be like, hey, HBAR is better, Hedera is better, blah, blah, blah. A reminder that in March this year or last year, the Hedera network proxies were turned off because of a precompile attack. So the network was down for almost 2 days. You couldn't submit transactions to Hedera. You couldn't move HBAR. So we've had issues like this, maybe not as severe, but it's not a situation we want to be in, kicking people while they're down or whatever. So when we see stuff like this, I think that the best thing to do from our community standpoint is like just, like the HBAR bowl here, good luck, appreciate the decisive action, like just being supportive if we can. I think that that's really what it's about. That's what would make it attractive to build here for developers. But anyways, just want to give it a shout out. I hope that the Casper peeps are doing okay. I don't know what they call their community, but shout out. Also, this was a great post by Credible Crypto. I just wanted to highlight it. So there's some kind of arguments going on back and forth about, these different coins, including like Solana and, Credible Crypto's making comments about how those are inflated. I mean, we've seen the conversations before. And someone kind of calls out Credible Crypto, like, you bull posting XRP and HBAR for their tech is generally one of the wonders of the modern world. And I think Credible Crypto kind of sums it up here in a really great way. And this is why, I think that, I definitely have been more critical these recent months in the Hedera ecosystem. I think that rightfully so, but you do have to keep in mind that there's a lot of initiatives that Hedera and these organizations have been doing that have really paid off in a lot of ways. And it kind of comes into this part here where, again, this is an individual that has just over 400,000 followers, and they've been in the Hedera ecosystem for a long, long time. And also in many other ecosystems. So Credible Crypto has like a very broad, holistic view of the industry. And this sentence right here: if you're curious about real metrics, the cheapest chain of the ones you mentioned above, Hedera. The one processing the most transactions, Hedera. The fastest one, Hedera. The one with the greatest number of transactions processed, Hedera. The one with that is the most efficient green, Hedera. So there are, and I mean, again, we can nitpick and split hairs and different things like that, but this is kind of what's up with that. And these things distilled are really what matters. So yes, you can kind of say like, Atma's subsidized, and when are they going to pay for transactions? We need network revenue, blah, blah, blah. I think we're in a new phase right now where we really kind of have to start putting the pressure on, but where we're at right now isn't a bad place. Like, we're not in like a horrible place. I think that there's decent positioning, but there's more to do. But again, just wanted to highlight that. That's the narrative out there. I mean, it rings true. It's good to see. Another call out really quick on a potential use case that is not on Hedera, but I think kind of speaks to a bit of strategy. This is highlighted by Brady again, Bonzo Finance, previous at Swirls Labs. I know I'm highlighting Brady a lot on this episode, but he had some really great points over the last week. There's a use case. California Department of Motor Vehicles has digitized 42 million of car titles using the Avalanche network, tapping into blockchain tech, blah, blah, blah. So obviously a really interesting use case for these different types of things. We've seen these different types of use cases and proof of concepts talked about on Hedera. And Brady kind of really hit something interesting where, so in this use case, right, the Avalanche subnets is the architecture. The California DMV has created a private subnet, right, a blockchain that they run, distinct from the Avalanche main chain. But Brady believes it's still interoperable with the main chain. We're not fully sure of that. But his point is the architecture is quite similar to what Hashgraph, aka Swirls Labs, is doing now, strategically building and creating these kind of semi-private, private DLTs, right? These using Hashgraph. So it's very similar. So when we look at these use cases that we're excited about mainstream adoption, real world assets, blah blah blah, a lot of that also incorporates the use of kind of private networks or semi-private networks that may in fact, connect to the main chain or the main net. So that's right in line with, I think, what Hashgraph's been talking about. Man, it's so weird to say that on the show. What Swirls Labs is talking about. And it's just an interesting point to raise that I think, that might not be a bad strategy. But again, I do think, it'll be good to get a better view on as well what they're doing with the public network, if there's any more kind of like big vision stuff there. Also, too, SEC, there's a little bit of government news here. So the SEC has retracted its request for the court to classify tokens like Solana, Cardano, and Polygon as securities in its lawsuit against Binance. So basically what this means is to a point, the SEC is saying like, hey, all that stuff we said about these tokens being securities and this and that, we take it back. And so that's very interesting. And this comes on top of a letter from U.S. Democrats. They wrote to the Democratic National Committee in the U.S. Asking to shift away from the anti-Bitcoin stance. So there's definitely some moves happening from a U.S. government standpoint of softening a little bit on crypto in general, which is interesting to see. And I think that is something that's going to be really interesting. Ken left an interesting comment here. I want to look this up because I saw this post. Can't believe I didn't have it on my docket for the show. I'm going to talk about one of your posts as well, Ken. So this is really interesting. Yeah. So Toshi Protocol, this is what Ken's working on. He's doing some spaces as well. I'd encourage anyone to kind of tune into. Ken's spaces. But this is what's up. Toshi is a kind of gaming, product that allows games to leverage blockchain technology, aka Hedera, and handle a lot of stuff like anti-cheating, and the transfer of value. So definitely some really innovative stuff happening there. There's a lot of great content too here. But when we talk about gaming, this is going to be a very, very interesting one to watch. It's a protocol built by, again, this is one of those stories that I get excited about because, Ken down there, he's been in the Hedera ecosystem for a long time, with, Kabuto, the HBAR Foundry, like all these different types of things. So he's been building on Hedera for a long time. And I believe one of the early members of the Hedera team can correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, let's plug the website. But anyways, if you want to talk about OG HBarbarians, Ken's one of them. I mean, if Ken isn't one of them, I don't know who is. And here's somebody that's now branching outside of the Hedera ecosystem to a different ecosystem, building a novel technology that leverages Hedera. So there's all sorts of different exciting things happening when we look at retail growing tentacles into other areas. Like these are the types of things that I think are very, very important to see. So shout out to Toshi, shout out to Ken. Love to see it. Really love to see it. Also too, quick shout out. I saw that Zeus Market, let me see here. Zeus Market. Yeah. So, any kind of, again, we're talking about OG people. The original Hedera NFT marketplace, I believe, from years ago is now Gonzo. Zeus Market is now offline. So I do believe, there were some people, good morning, Zach. There were some people that were kind of like, take your listings off of Zeus. The site might go down, blah, blah, blah. So there's, I think, a bit of fear out there of like your NFT listings on Zeus. What happened to those now that you can't log into the website? I don't know if I'm 100% correct on this, but just as a observation of my own, I do think that how Zeus Market handled listings was token allowances or something like that, spending allowances or something in your wallet. And I do think in Hashpack wallet, maybe a few other wallets, there's an account settings area where you can manage those allowances or associations or whatever it might be. So what I would do is, if you are concerned about listings on Zeus or whatever, reach out to support for those wallets. They'll probably already have some answers for you on that. And I think that you can control that kind of stuff from the wallet side. You don't necessarily need to go into the Zeus website. I don't think so. Just, aware, that marketplace is down. I know a lot of people have, NFTs listed on there. I know NFTs are very important for people. So, just a note for anybody, that was using Zeus. This was also an interesting tweet that I pulled out. And it, brought a question into my mind. So this was kind of on the news of the spike in TPS that kind of we were talking about, right? Now TPS on Hedera is like higher than it's ever been before. It's touching 4,000 transactions per second sometime. It's, really kind of exciting. And we know that it's ATMA still, right? So these are subsidized transactions as far as we know. We don't know anything otherwise. And a good question was raised by Jay on X. They say, still confused about Hyundai and Kia. When it was first announced, I asked if it was live. Christian Hasker, who previously was marketing at Swirlds Labs, Christian Hasker responded to say yes, but there was no noticeable uptick in transactions. Now we hear they're onboarding their supply chain partners, so maybe that will generate a noticeable increase. And I know that a month ago, Eric Piscini, on a video interview with Genfinity, mentioned that the Hyundai use case was live. He spoke to this as well. He was talking about transactions moving through the mainnet. So We don't have a lot of information on that, but from what it would appear to me, it's kind of been hypothesized by, both people in leadership at these organizations in the community that the Hyundai use case would be like a high throughput use case potentially. So if this transaction increase is from Atma, unless Hyundai is utilizing Atma, it doesn't seem like this is anything to do with the Hyundai stuff. So it calls into question, like, when is that Hyundai use case going to be going live? It doesn't seem like it's fully live yet. So we'll have to see. We don't have a lot of clarity on that, but just an interesting comment that kind of stuck out to me. Also, big news. Very, very excited to see this. Bonzo Finance has cleared the hurdle for their audit with Halborn. And this is very, very cool. You can go in and you can look at the audit reports for the various contracts. So this is the staking contract. And again, what will happen is the auditing company will highlight different issues that are either critical, medium, low, or informational. And then they will note when the project took care of those issues. So with Bonzo, there was 2 critical issues, 1 medium issue and 2 low issues. They were all resolved. So this is what an audit is for, right? They go into deep detail about the code and architecture and all these different types of things, mostly smart contracts. So this is a very, very important step for Bonzo Finance. Also, this was the audit for the finance contracts. So there were, let's see here, 4 critical, 1 medium, and 1 low issue resolved, right? So you can, seeing these types of things builds trust for sure. So those are complete. So this was a major milestone for Bonzo Finance. I've had Brady on the show a few times. I think I've had Garang on the show as well. And yeah, this is exciting stuff. Borrowing and lending coming to Hedera. And there's also like serial finance, there's H liquidity, there's all these different types of things. And borrowing and lending is so important for DeFi on Hedera. Because when we look at traditional economies, just like, the American economy, most of it is debt, borrowing and lending, right? And when we look at crypto and the crypto industry overall, the DeFi space, I think that borrowing and lending contributes to like more than 40% of TVL. So this is going to be really big for Hedera, borrowing and lending in general. So I think this is going to be really, really cool. A shout out to Toshi from Bones. Yeah, I mean, gaming is another area that's I think going to be growing. We don't know what the ceiling looks like on gaming yet, so it's very exciting stuff. Zach asked a question: isn't there some way to trace who is doing transactions? Yes, there are. So for example, it's very easy to see if we look at all the transactions being pushed to the main net. We say there's let's say there's 3,500 TPS. We can go to an explorer like Hashscan and we can see all the different transactions. We can see what accounts are submitting those transactions and then go, okay, this account, and this account are submitting these transactions. So yes, you can see which accounts are submitting transactions, but the issue is then who holds those accounts. There's no way of knowing. So there really isn't a way of knowing who actually is submitting transactions unless there is an entity that officially discloses, or if there is a way in which to confirm. So for example, the identity of the accounts that submit transactions to the topic ID for Atma.io, those have all kind of been disclosed, either through research by the community, Avery Dennison themselves, the HBAR Foundation, whatever it might be, which brings transparency, of course. But then there's other things like all the other transactions. There is no built-in way to kind of see like, oh, here's transactions from Dell. Here's transactions from IVM. Here's transactions from so-and-so. Here's transactions from Saucer Swap. It's like you do have to make those connections. And in some cases, projects do need to disclose those accounts to know who it is. So if you don't know who owns or holds the account, then you don't really know who it's coming from, but you can at least track what account is submitting those transactions. Now, let's take a look at something else. This last thing here. I was kind of looking forward to seeing this, but I was busy at 9:20 a.m. Eastern. I was out for a walk. I had to do some stuff. I had to run some errands, so I wasn't able to tune into this live. This was from, I guess, FinTech TV Global. And they had Charles Atkins on, the president of Hedera. Very cool. It was, they're live from the New York Stock Exchange during the opening bell. So that's really, really cool. I asked around, I can't find a clip for it. I went on the FinTech TV website. By the way, this website is like completely jacked. But there's all these like clips on here. So I guess we're going to see it tomorrow, I guess. But again, when we talk about marketing in the space, it's like, where can I watch it on X? I want to share this clip of the president of Hedera. I want to like check it out. I wanted to show it on the show, but like, it just doesn't exist. So, and also too, like, I like the YouTube channel for this, I mean, like these recent videos, 29 views, 156 views. So, I mean, it's like, it is what it is. I want to see the clip. I want to check it out. I think it would be cool to see. But, whatever it is. If anyone has the recording, if anyone has the clip, send it. I want to check it out. So some folks that tuned in live said there wasn't like anything super new. Again, I mean, it's good to see. It's good to see. Okay, so we're going to talk about marketing stuff now and karate combat. But first, I just want to say, like, thank you to everyone for watching, for tuning in. Going to be doing some exciting stuff with the show soon. I know I've talked about streaming to LinkedIn as well. I got some feedback on that I think that there are definitely some people that want the show to be live streamed on LinkedIn. So I think that's going to happen. So it'll be live streamed to YouTube, X, and LinkedIn at the same time. Going to be doing some updates to the formatting and everything. I've been so busy at HGraph. So I'm going to be doing some kind of upgrades to the show this weekend, which I'm looking forward to. And yeah, just like huge shout out to everyone tuning in. I really appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you guys. I remember even a year ago, I'd have like 30, 50 people listening to the show on Twitter Spaces. And now, we've got almost 200 people listening live here, which is crazy. So, I mean, the show just keeps growing and growing, which is amazing. And again, just supported by people listening, sending HBAR to a wallet. I sell the HBAR. I buy stuff like this for the show. That's kind of what makes it work. So really, really, really appreciate it, everybody.